Thanks for watching the Coriolis Effect. Please hit the subscribe button below, and we hope you like this episode.
We'd like to take a quick break and thank Down to the Wire for sponsoring today's episode. You can find their trio of podcasts, including Down to the Beat and Down to the City Weekly, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But today I want to specifically talk about their Down to the City podcast, which talks about unique local businesses in the city. Also, catch Down to the City's video series where they travel to and showcase local businesses. Their first video episode was of a local tattoo parlor where they got tattoos by the owner who they interviewed. Check that out on their YouTube page, DTTW Entertainment, and visit their website, www.dttwentertainment.com, to learn more about the brand and its podcasts. Is a classroom the best way to teach your children to be curious, creative, and entrepreneurial? Of course not. Real learning comes from doing. Welcome to the Children's Business Fair, a one-day event where young people can launch and showcase a business. You'll be amazed by what children can accomplish, and it's a great way to bring your neighborhood to life. Launching a children's business fair is easier than you think and free. We'll even throw in $500 of prize money. Find out more at podcast.childrensbusinessfair.org. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Cory. How are you?
Good morning, Tinks. I'm doing well, thank you. Your little sweet little doggy came into the scene. Should I pick her up? Here, my Tinky. Come on, Tinky.
She's running from you.
Gosh, look who it is.
You're going to get dog hair all over you.
Oh, Jojo Puppy. Oh, I love you. I know.
So what's new? Because I have something very new for you.
Well, oh, gosh, I can't even. There's no side railings on this chair.
There used to be.
Well, I broke them.
Just for the audience, we bought new chairs to the studio, and Cory played with the side rails so much that she broke them.
Well, I didn't necessarily. Yes, okay. Period.
I didn't necessarily break. You broke them.
I did, and I have this. I'm just a klutz, like you said. You're kind of a klutz, and I actually am kind of a klutz.
Yeah, but saying you're a klutz means like you banged into it and it fell off. You constantly, every time, used it. The problem is they're not connected to the back, but you would keep using them to lift yourself up. The problem is you didn't understand that they weren't connected to the back, despite the 11 warnings that I've given you.
Yes, Bob, you are right.
And Cory would use the handrails to lift yourself up, and they kept going down, and it's metal, so the more times you bend it, they broke off. So
I just want to go on the record and on camera as saying, I am so sorry that I broke your chair.
That's all right.
Okay.
I'm ordering other chairs.
Okay.
I'm going to have the sides welded in.
Yeah.
I'll get you one of those chairs that takes the old people up the stairs. So you can
I'm not old. Hello.
So before
I have a question for you, though.
Yes, please.
Before I what?
Well, before you begin, let me show you this.
Okay.
I ran out this morning and had to run some errands.
Okay.
And on my way back into the neighborhood, and I'll put it up on the screen, this is what I saw.
Are they my geeslings?
I believe they are.
Are they really?
I think they are.
You're kidding. How many?
They are. Oops, hold on. Let me. Yep.
No. Why are there only two?
Keep watching.
Okay.
By the way, sorry, my windshield's so dirty.
Look, everybody is.
Look at the one can't get up.
Oh. Why are there only three? There's only three?
There used to be four. One grew up and flew away. One's away at boarding school.
That's them.
Is it them?
That is them. Thank you so much for showing me. I think one has taken a trip or two to heaven, but
and it's funny because
three.
I pulled into my neighbor and I was late. Not as late as you were today, but I was late. And there was a car that stopped. And there were two people on the side of the road, so I figured the car was talking, so I'll just swing around to the left. And I start to swing around, and I see the geese, and I'm like, whoa, and I slam on my brakes.
It's so great, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. And people really do their best to
there were people
watch
out
out for them.
Yeah,
I know. Well, thank you for
You're welcome.
For actually, that is a really great thing to come into, even though you say I was late, but I was actually half an hour early, because our first guest doesn't show up until 12.
It's 11:45.
Yes.
We need to do the pre-interview.
We're doing that right now. Which, by the way, I have actually a question for you, because I just don't know. I don't know. I'm going on the record saying I don't know. I don't understand this. So maybe you can help me understand.
Okay. If not, I'll make up an answer.
Yes. Why we have just released 78,000 people from jail just arbitrarily, randomly. I don't understand the meaning behind that, the reasoning behind that. Like, what's going on with our judicial system?
Gavin Newsom released 78,000, 76 or 78?
I'm pretty sure it was 78.
Okay, so 78,000
I might be wrong.
Violent criminals
I don't understand. Can you just help me? I'm
Yes.
actually not being facetious. I'm not trying to be flippant. I'm actually want to know what the real reason is behind it. Because I don't understand the judicial system and why they would just arbitrarily and randomly do that.
Well, read the story. It's because the jail's unsafe.
What?
The jail is unsafe, they said. It's
unsafe for what?
For the violent criminals. Oops.
Who can it be now?
That's my rookie mistake. Darn it.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
Darn it.
That's my rookie mistake.
It was my
I
rookie
didn't use
mistake.
that.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I don't
They
understand
said the jails
it.
are unsafe because of COVID or because of whatever the reasons are. They are violent criminals.
But if you have a sentence and you are sentenced, and I don't know this, again, I want to go on the record because I really don't understand it. You have a sentence. Do you lose your rights as a prisoner when you go into prison? If you've done something, do you lose your rights? And therefore,
You lose some of your rights.
Okay.
You don't lose all of your rights.
Okay.
You lose your rights to. I'm sorry. There's a whole prisoner's bill of rights, but you don't lose your
Okay.
rights to
I
not
didn't
be
know that.
tortured and stuff like that. You lose your rights to vote. You lose your rights to be free. So there are certain. You lose your freedom of speech, things like that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Wouldn't they just give them the vaccination instead? Or
Do you remember when it came out, as the vaccines were just starting to come out, some governor, and I forget the state, said was going to vaccinate the prisoners before the elderly, and it came up and they immediately put a stop to it. Okay, they were going to vaccinate everybody at Gitmo first. And everybody's like, wait a minute. So that would be a bad political move. But keep in mind, the way...
is this a better one to release them in back?
No, it's never good to
I
release
don't know, I'm
violent
asking.
criminals.
Okay.
I get our jail system is overbooked.
Okay.
That's because we have a lot of people who do things wrong. And there are a lot of people in jail who don't belong in jail. Not because they didn't commit the offense, because they're in jail longer.
Right.
It hasn't happened recently, but in the old days, 70s and 80s, there were people in South Carolina who were sentenced to 99 years for having one marijuana cigarette on them.
Right.
And I don't know this, but when the laws changed and marijuana became legal, I wonder if they let them out. Because at the time, they committed the crime. So it's interesting. But keep in mind, let's say you commit a murder and you're sentenced to 25 years. And they say, well, you'll probably do 7. Well, no. Why don't you do 25? And then we'll time off for good behavior. No, you killed somebody. But I got to tell you, my problem is, and I don't know if you think this way, but my way is, if you kill somebody, and I don't mean you're driving a car and all of a sudden that person dies, like involuntary manslaughter. But if you're convicted of first or second degree murder, which means you went out and bought a gun, formulated a plan, and intentionally shot somebody, or you did a drive-by shooting, what gives you the right to continue living? And I know everyone's against the death penalty, and some states aren't. But my theory is, if I planned somebody's death and took them away from their family or whatever, why do I get to keep living? I don't understand that.
I don't understand any of it. That's why this is all kind of an interesting timing of everything. And you hear people talk about agendas, and it starts to make you wonder, what is going on? I don't really know. Okay. I can't even profess to know. I'm just asking these questions because I'm curious. If anyone has any information on it, let us know what's going on, because it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, the interesting thing is, and it was Gavin Newsom who's going to sign the bill. I don't know if he started it, but he's definitely for it. He's on his way out.
You think?
I don't know. I think yes, and I'll go over the procedure in a minute. But if he's on his way out, because he knows once he's recalled, he's done in politics. He'll never hold another office. So this is a big FU to the Californians. So screw you, I'll let all the criminals out. If you're going to... Now, the way because I looked this up last night,
Doesn't he have a boss?
A what?
A boss?
No.
Somebody he has to answer to?
The people.
What's going on with us then? Why are we not...
Okay, so we recalled them, and there'll be an election. And they think it's going to happen sometime in September, October.
I know all this, because isn't Caitlyn Jenner running?
Yes.
Yes.
But the way the recall works is everybody gets 2 questions. 1, do you wish to recall? You have to get more than 50% of the public, of the Californians, to say yes. Right. And then the second question is, okay, since if he's going to be recalled, which one of these now 140 people do you want to vote for? So if 50.1% of the public says, no, leave him in there, he beats the recall election. Mm-hmm. Which is why I think this letting 76,000 criminals out of jail is not a very good thing coming up on a recall. But then again is people in the Northern California, where you grew up, and people in Los Angeles think so differently than I do and that we do. And a lot of them say, yeah, let him out of jail. Why are they in jail? And so that may be his base that says, yeah, let these people out. It's a great thing. Way to go, Governor. Look at New York. New York got rid of bail. And they said, starting January 1st, 2020, they were like almost no bails for people. So they said, you'd commit a crime, they would give you your court date, they'd release you back on the street, and then people wouldn't show up. So they said, I've got a great idea. Let's offer them an incentive to show up for their bail here or their pretrial. They were giving away Yankee tickets to people who showed up. They were giving away $1,000 Visa cards to show up for your criminal hearing.
Well, I'll just say this. Hitler was giving away bicycles when he was, and he had a 98.0, approval rate. So we really need to be careful of who we're hitching our wagon to.
Yeah, a lot of parallels from that society and our society. But yeah, they are, I don't know. I don't always believe in an eye for an eye, but I do believe if you take somebody's life intentionally, that you forfeit your right to live.
Yeah.
But it's just so many people, and it's so many people, what it comes down to is they want to feel good about themselves. And they feel, if I didn't kill this person, I feel good about myself. Now, you commit murder and you're sentenced to the death penalty. It's 10 years before you're executed because you have mandatory appeals right to the Supreme Court and everything else. And these people fight and fight and fight. So you're not getting executed anytime soon.
Well, you know how I feel about, I think that the greatest thing that we can do collectively as a society is pray. Pray big for this nation. I know it sounds silly, but we need a lot of prayer. A lot of stuff's going on, and I've seen God move mountains in my own life through prayer. And so I'm just calling all prayer warriors to pray for this nation. Truly, we do need it. We need a turnaround. This is not the way it's supposed to be headed. Things are being completely dismantled as we speak, and we're busy, and I am myself included. With my face in my phone or just getting distracted. And when you're distracted, they can implement all kinds of changes that will affect you and your kids and your kids' kids for years to come. So,
it's funny because we grew up in the 80s and nobody had phones. I mean, you had a phone on the wall and, and the cord and stuff. And then...
Like Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah, exactly. And then you get your phone in the 90s and 2000s and, cell phone. And it's become such an integral part of our lives that I'm at the point now where I'm so glad that the new iPhones, the 11s are, they new a year ago, they're waterproof up to 30 feet. So I'm listening to a podcast or something, and I go, I'll bring it in the shower. So there's never a time where my phone's not on me and actively engaged in something. And it is...
It's a lot of info for us, folks.
Well, yeah. I was going to tell you the other place I use it in the bathroom, too. But, yeah, it's just...
I just have my gum in my mouth. I'm so sorry.
I didn't want to say.
Sorry, you guys. I'm going to take it out. I am.
There was...
Is that wrong? I have a little tissue. I'm going to put it...
Okay. Well, just keep showing everybody. Save it for later. I do have a video of you talking to your gums. I'll eat you later.
I did that?
You did that before we filmed. It's in our bloopers roll. Yeah. You took a piece of gum, you put it in the cap of your water and go, I'll save you for later, and then put it down. In fact, that's going to go right here.
I got to do something. I'll save you for later. I don't know. Here we go. Oh, no, don't get me started. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You're hilarious. I didn't know you had a bloopers roll.
All right. Oh, I have 5 hours of bloopers footage to go through in the next couple of months, so I got some doozies.
Oh, no. I better be on my best behavior.
Yeah. But it's like we're never not connected. Now, the phone's also a good thing. We have,
it's great. You can do
the
business
entire
from
wealth
anywhere.
of human knowledge to our fingertips, or at our fingertips. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's all bad, but they've done studies, and it gives you the same sensation as a drug.
Dopamine.
A dopamine sensation, and it also is very disruptive if you are between the ages of like 5 and 12 to your frontal lobe developing correctly.
Right.
So. It's one of those things that moderation, be careful, use caution, but it can be a good thing.
Hey, our guest is here.
Oh, perfect.
All right, we will see you
I was not late.
After these words.
Do you know an extraordinary child, a budding superstar who is ready to take on the world and who loves to have fun? If so, he or she deserves a chance to shine at a children's business fair. a one-day event where young people can launch and showcase a business. You'll be amazed by what children can accomplish, and it's a great way to bring neighbors together amid sunshine and laughter. At a children's business fair, children will make something with their own hands, sell it safely, and experience the freedom of having a little extra spending money as a reward. It takes less than 10 minutes to apply and as little as 3 hours to plan a fair. Just set up a few tables on a lawn and send a few emails to friends and family. You can host a fair for free, and we'll even chip in up to $500 of prize money. Sound too simple? Join parents who want to equip and inspire their children to shine in the real world. Start your audition to host a children's business fair in your community or find out more at podcast.childrensbusinessfair.org.
All right, let's start the show.
Let's start the show.
I just said that. Let's start the show.
Yes, you did. I know. It's like you said, 2 weeks of no seeing Cory, and I'm going to get hammered with the jokes today, huh? I'm already going to tear up because I have a very dear person in my life here today who I've known for over 10 years, maybe. I don't even know. Cindy Anderson is in the studio.
Thank
today. She is a former prayer partner for Moms in Prayer. Our kids went to school together. And you wrote a book called My Walks with Remi. And I remember, I don't know how many years ago, I'm just kind of setting this up because I know you have a story to tell, and it's amazing. Maybe 7 years ago, you started on your Facebook posts. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. You were doing some self-taping with your dog, and we're going to get into that. But to think even back then that it would turn into this book filled with just, like I always say on the show, golden nuggets and treasures, and a devotional. It's a devotional. I really want to hear this story, and I know Bob does too. So welcome today. But first I have to do a word of the day. This is what that means. Okay. Everyone, Bob was going like this.
Well, Bob did that off camera. So
yes, he did, but Bob doesn't want to be on camera. So
that's not entirely the accurate story.
It is true.
Basically, when we started this podcast, I said, okay, I've got 3 cameras. Of course, I said, well, I want all 3 on me. You don't get a camera.
That is not true.
So when I get enough money to buy the 4th camera, then maybe I'll get to be on the camera.
Okay.
Well, guess what? I might just have another camera for you, Bob.
You're not very observant. There's a 4th camera under the TV, by the way. It's always been there, yeah.
Oh.
And I've got 2 more outside.
Right over my head. Okay, well, first we're going to hear this word of the day.
All right. See if you can guess this word of the day.
Zoophobia.
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 Being afraid of the zoo?
Close.
Afraid of animals.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, ding, ding.
And you got to...
I get a 4th camera
Yay.
on you. That's my prize.
No.
No. Okay, well, that was a good one. Good one.
Thank
Very
you.
good, because, today is about your book called My Walks with Remi. And I want you to take me through the whole story because it's really fantastic. We kind of talked a little bit about this the other day, but I didn't want to know everything because I wanted you to save it for...
Well, I feel like, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. This
so
is
good to
such
see
an
you.
opportunity that I'm excited about sharing the story and just the book. I used to be a high school French teacher for 28 years, and I lived in the Chicago suburbs. We moved to Connecticut, and then we moved to Wichita, Kansas, and then we came to California 11 years ago. And when we left Connecticut, I was really sad. I was grieving the loss of my profession. I loved teaching. I just loved my students. I loved everything I did. And so I wondered, what am I going to do now? Because we thought we would only be in Kansas for a couple of years, and then we wanted to see what else was out there. So when I was in Wichita, I was trying to figure out, what's my purpose? What does God have next for me? And I felt like writing is something I've always enjoyed. When I was little, I used to write mysteries, and I am writing a mystery adventure of a girl who's going to Paris and her grandmother is kidnapped. And so it's called the Suitcase Adventures. So I am working on that. But I started working on that when I was in Kansas. And then the kids had always asked about getting a puppy. I have 3 kids, and they're all grown up now, but used to be younger. And so since I was no longer teaching, we got this puppy. And so we went to Wisconsin, where our breeder lived, and flew Remy back home. And we got him when he was 8 weeks old. And I started going on walks, and I never had time in my life to go on walks, and I was much more comfortable, leading student tours in Paris at the Musée d'Orsay, showing them French Impressionism instead of going on hikes or walks outside. I never grew up really playing out in the dirt and stuff like that. It just wasn't me. So I felt, well, okay, now I have to walk this dog. And so we had a little lake, and we were in a neighborhood, and we walked around the lake, and it was fine. I was getting exercise. I was bonding with Remy. All that was good. But then when we left Wichita and we came to California, and it was like my senses were awakened. The blue of the sky and the ocean and the mountains and the colors with the flowers all here.
When did you move to California?
We moved to California in 2011.
Oh, okay. Because I moved in 88 and it was the yellow of the sky at that time.
Oh, yes.
The haze.
Yeah.
Right. Well, this was just clear blue, and I just couldn't believe it, how I was just almost just awakened by the beauty around me. And I loved being outside, and I loved the warmth and the sunshine and all that stuff. And so I started seeing these images in nature when I was walking Remy. And I have a master's in French language and literature, and so I was used to looking at symbolism and imagery and things like that. And so that was my comfort zone, and so now it's being translated into what am I looking at in nature. And so I would see, different images, and then I would take a picture on my phone, and I would do notes on my phone, so I, would capture that thought that I had at the moment. And after this happened a number of times, I thought, I could make a devotional out of this. And this whole project, I look at it as a mission. It's never been about me selling books. It's been about me getting the word out that God loves us, and He's always with us, and He has a plan for us. And so it's almost like my own Coriolis effect of a confluence of talents that I've had from teaching and from analyzing literature and loving the arts. Being a docent, I just became a docent at our local art museum. So it's sort of like being a docent in nature now is how I'm looking at it, and how I'm guiding people, as I've always done, through, analyzing texts or leading Bible studies and getting meaning and application out of that with the women I've, led. So all of these things are coming together in writing this book and just getting this message out of how to look at nature differently. And one of the things I used to do when I taught upper level classes, we did everything in French. And so to help me understand that the kids had read it and that they understood what they were reading, we used to draw pictures of like what happened in Louis XIV's life, and they would draw a picture in their groups. And then that was a visual cue for them that they could remember on their tests later on. And I feel like this book is kind of like that.
That's great, by the way.
Pictures, thank you, are a visual cue as to what the whole devotional is about. And then as you see a vertical line like a tree or a telephone pole, as you're going about your everyday life, it jogs your memory as to what that devotion was about. And I had people, there was a one in there about the succulent life. And some of my friends from the Midwest wrote and said, I'll never look at a succulent the same again, even though they usually just buy them in little containers at the grocery store that are 2 inches, in diameter square. But they're just getting meaning, some of the feedback that I've been getting. They're getting new insights into what they see. Or there's one about getting mail. It's a mailbox with a flag up. And when they see that in their everyday life, they remember God has something for me. He has a love letter He wrote to me, and I should go open that. I should go to my Bible and read that. It's waiting for me, and I'm just either walking by it or forgetting.
No, and it's kind of like the Bible. You can. I've read it a million times, and it depends on what you're going through in that moment and how it affects you. Or a scripture might, stand out, during a certain period of your life more than others.
Right.
I followed this journey. Well, I met you in Moms in Prayer.
Yeah.
At Oaks Christian. Our kids went to school together, as I said, and we prayed together. A lot of us moms, and we've seen the power of prayer. Right?
Yeah.
It's pretty big. I always say pray big. But while you were on these walks, and I think our kids had gone off to school, and it was the next year or the year after, I'm not sure of the timing, but I started watching your videos on Facebook, and I was like, oh, because, we knew each other at school, and
Right.
but we didn't get to spend a lot of time outside of school
Right.
together. But it really just kind of blew my mind, and I get excited to get on Facebook and see, what's Remy doing now? What's Cindy doing now? And it was just really a fun journey that I got to take with you in those little moments of how did Remy, did you feel like Remy, obviously Remy probably really looked forward to these walks because dogs were like, let's go. But did you feel like dogs are really powerful, and I always say this because they're the only animal that their name spelled backwards is God.
Very true.
Right.
Remy he's a Portuguese water dog.
He's beautiful, by the way. I know Bob will superimpose a picture, but he's just gorgeous. And this is the cover of the book.
Yes. Yes. Remy he'll be 12 in June. So he's starting to get up there. And so I really wanted to get this book out before we didn't have Remy anymore. But
then he should eat the Gentle Giant's food.
Yes, Gentle Giants.
Burt Ward was the original Robin from Batman. So he has a rescue up near Santa Barbara.
Oh, wow.
15,000 dogs they've rescued over the last 26 years. But he came up with a special dog food. They did all the science, and it's a charity organization. He has large breed dogs living in their 20s.
Oh, my goodness.
So he swears by if you're and Tinks and Halo both started on the food.
Wow.
Because Tinks is 11, but start the dog on that food, and you'll get at least another couple of years.
That's amazing. Well, he's a high energy dog. He was bred to save people out of the ocean in Portugal.
Oh, wow.
They would swim in groups of 10 and have the fishing nets along. They would pull in the fish. I think of Jesus telling the guys to throw the net out, and they brought the fish in. So that's what the dogs were bred to do. And if a sailor fell overboard, the dogs would rally around and bring them, back. So Remy doesn't like it when we're in the pool splashing around. I think it's
he wants to save you.
Inbred, I've got to go save them. He gets all excited. But he loves to walk, and he's really gotten used to me whipping my phone out, taking pictures. He'll stop, and it's like,
exposing.
Okay, she's got to do this again. And he does.
They're smart.
Pose.
I know. They're so smart.
He knows how to pose. We did the cover shoot for the book with the photographer in town, and she said, he is so easy to work with. And I said, well, he's getting pictures all the time taken of him. And so he knows, I tell him to move this way, and he'll move, and he'll look up, and you have cue words, and he'll look right at the camera.
I love that.
He's very intelligent and a lot of fun.
What does Remy mean?
It's short for Remigio, which is oarsman in Portugal. And since I was a foreign language teacher, or world language teacher, I guess they say now, we wanted to keep it, with his heritage. Yeah. And actually my husband thought of it. It wasn't me. But we thought, well, Remy's cute for short, because Remigio gets kind of long.
Right. It's hard. By the time you have O out, they're already gone.
Right.
It's like a 4-syllable name. Yeah. No, I know. Well, you have many, we talked about this a little bit. First of all, I'm going to tear up, because I don't think I've ever been acknowledged in a book before. So thank you.
You're welcome.
For acknowledging me. Yes. But you have a lot of acknowledgments, and that was hard for you, right? Because you're really one of those people that, as acknowledging, for the lack of a better word, the people that came alongside you in whatever form. It could have been, just indirectly, directly. And tell me that process, because this is your first book.
It is, yes. So I was looking up, since this was my first book, what do you say on an acknowledgement page? Well, I ended up having like 4 or 5 acknowledgement pages because I had so many people to thank for developing my faith journey. And the subtitle of the book is Devotions Inspired by Nature for Your Faith Journey. So I wanted to talk about the people who had an impact on me. And I know there are people in there that it goes back to 25 years ago, people that were with me. I was in a covenant group with 13 women. No, it was about 5 women for 13 years. And we met every Wednesday when our kids were in choir at church, and then I had choir, I sang. So it's people from, the different towns that I used to live in. It's people that were people I sang with in choir. We were in a little worship music group called Faith Lift, and we did little gigs at different churches, and a couple of us were in a group like that together. And then in the different women's groups that I've led, and then Mothers in Prayer at Oaks Christian, you and Lori Nave and Nancy Hicks, and you guys were my leaders. And I had always been involved in church. I'd always been involved in women's ministry. But I had never been in a group that prayed out loud before, and that was different for me. When I lived in Wichita, I had a friend that God placed right across the street from me, Cheryl, and she introduced me to Mothers in Prayer. But it was just like the two of us, and then a couple other people came, and that was the first time that I had prayed out loud. But when we came to Oaks Christian, there was a huge group of women, and we got to meet at school. We were in houses in Wichita, and that helped develop my sense of praying, and it really helped me write the prayers that go along with each of the devotionals in the book. So I'm just so thankful for God and his inspiration.
I love that you have all these people and you actually go through the details of who they are, and it's really beautiful to read. And for those of you who don't know what Moms in Prayer is, it was I'm going to tell you this little story because this is pretty cool. Moms in Prayer was started by a woman by the name of Fern Nichols, and she really wanted her kids and her grandkids to be prayed over. What's that?
Did you hear something?
Yeah. What are you doing?
I didn't do anything.
What was that?
What was what?
What was that sound?
Did you hear something?
Yeah.
No, it was a speaker turning off.
Oh, mine? It was a organization. It's called it was actually called Moms in Touch back then. And I used to always think, how come this is not called Moms in Prayer? But it changed to Moms in Prayer. And Fern Nichols started this years and years and years ago. It's international prayer groups over pretty much every school. Now, you might not think you have a prayer group going on, but you do at a house or at a church or somewhere. But this is how full circle God is. About 6 months ago, my friend, a lifelong friend, called me, and long story short, through this family that she introduced me to, I got to have lunch with Fern Nichols.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And it was like one of those moments of, I got to meet, somebody who has had such an impact in my life on a daily basis, if not weekly and monthly. And so we got to talk, and she actually prayed for a situation in my life that I'll be happy to say has resolved itself. But, there is such power in prayer. And there's a corporate anointing that goes along with it being with a large group or in numbers. The Bible says when two or more are gathered, there I am in the midst. There God is. But when there's a cord of three, it cannot be broken. And so when you get a group of people together, there is a special anointing that happens. And so having met you, you just don't know. I say this to Bob, you don't know what purpose that person's going to have in your life. You might meet them for a second and then 10 years later be sitting opposite them. You're talking about this amazing book that's a devotional that, a journey that you went through, your testimony. And so it's, I asked Fern then in that moment, and her heart is so pure, by the way. She is such a wonderful woman. I got to meet her husband, who is amazing himself. He was responsible for bringing over Manute Bull from the basketball player, the tall basketball player from...
They have a tall basketball player?
No, the really, really tall guy. Anyway.
They're all really, really tall.
No. This guy was like 7'8" or something. Wow. You don't remember him?
No, I'm
played
not
for
a
the
big
Lakers, I believe.
Follower.
Anyway, I digressed because she's so dear, and that's really what brought us together was Moms in Prayer. And I actually was recruited, if you will, when Ariana was in grade school, and by a couple moms, and we prayed in her barn. And then it kind of, women heard that we had this prayer group, and I would have people come up to me and whisper in my ear, and they would be like, hey, I hear you have this prayer group. Can you pray for this or pray for that? So, this is what it's about. In Jeremiah 29:11, it says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not harm you, to give you a plan and a purpose. And this is your purpose right now. And it's so beautiful. So let's go through just a little bit, because I don't want to give too much away. I really encourage people to get this book. It's called My Walks with Remi.
And it's available.
It is available
on Amazon.
On Amazon, yes.
I know it's available. I'm trying to, where is it available?
Oh.
And it's available. Yes, it is available. Thanks.
Period. So look at this. Look at that. So a rainbow in the Bible is significant. It's God's covenant, right? And like you take this picture and it's just amazing. It is a devotional and there are stories, but why did you decide to make it a devotional as opposed to just writing? You wanted it to be interactive, and
I did, and I thought that the messages that I felt God was showing me, I felt He inspired me, because I'd walked by, trees, same tree thousands of times, but one day when I walked by a tree, there was a special meaning that came from it, and so I only take pictures of things that I feel inspired by God to, like He's saying, look at that. And so because of that intimacy that I felt while I was walking with Remy and being in nature and then being shown these images that led to life lessons that are scripture based, I felt like it was just something I needed to share in that realm. I thought it was this inspirational gift that I needed to let people know about and have it be reflective so that they could also do these walks in their own everyday life and just start seeing the images in their own lives, not just in my life in Southern California, but that they could start having their eyes awakened and open to what God has for them if they're quiet and they're listening and they're awakened. You have to be paying attention, I guess is what you could say.
It's a really good point. My Nana was very instrumental in my life with my relationship with God, and she lived with us for a short time, my mom's mom, and she gave me my first Bible, and on the front page she wrote one scripture, and it was Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God, for I will be exalted among the nations and I will be exalted among the earth. And it's when we're still, and not necessarily even not walking, but just in your spirit still, that you can kind of hear things, and you either get that loud, clear voice or that check in your spirit, right? And so on these walks, do you know how many walks you've had?
No. I have this book only represents 29. I have over 100 that aren't fully developed, but they have pictures and titles, and most of them have scripture verses with them, but they don't have the my reflection and the questions I ask for the reader and the prayer yet. But this first book, I chose 29 of them. And then there is another book that it's going to come out probably in the fall called More Walks with Remi. Very original title. But I felt like the people who have read it already are like, is there more?
Yeah. I was like, wait, I want to go on another.
Yeah.
I need another golden nugget.
Right. So I thought, okay, well, let's use these next ones that I had prepared, and we'll make another book out of that. So, and then as we're waiting for the second book to come out on our website, the mywalkswithremi.com, I do blog posts and I do videos, and our Facebook page also has 62 videos that I used to do the Wednesday Walks with Remy, which is what you were referring to.
Those,
yeah. And it's so interesting. I'm sure you find this in this podcast that you've been doing too, is you just don't know who's listening or who's watching or how far reaching it is. When we launched the book 2 weeks ago, there was a lady who had written me back from Connecticut, and our kids, we were room moms in kindergarten with Eric and her daughter. And she wrote to me, and she has been following me on Facebook. Unbeknownst to me, she never likes or questions, as many people don't. They just kind of
watch.
watch.
Stalk.
So she wrote to me and she said that she used to listen to Wednesday Walks with Remi in the car, dropping her daughter off at college, driving back home again. I had absolutely
That's
no
so
idea
cool. Yeah.
that was happening. And she
Yeah.
said she really was enjoying them and was excited to get the book. So, yeah.
Well, and that's like a lot of people have an idea, and it's almost sometimes if you get this idea, it's almost overwhelming because you don't know where to start. You don't know if you should start. You don't know how to block out that time, and so help someone who's listening just take that next step on, because you put this together. And it's finished and you're releasing it.
Right.
But when you first started it, was it overwhelming for you? Was it like, oh, wait,
It started out as, pictures and notes on my iPhone.
Yeah.
That's how it was. And then I just started taking some of my favorite ones and I started developing them and writing them. I wouldn't do it every day. I had so many things happening at the time, which is why it's taken me so long to write this. I've been working on this for about 9 years. But we've had, many, many moves. Yeah. We've had life events that have come in, as everybody does. So, life happens. But your dreams, you want to continue to work on those dreams and, work on things that are important to you. And you make time for things that are important to you. So I had to put aside my Suitcase Adventure mystery in Paris that was happening. And that is finished. I've redone that a couple times and I'm getting ready to query agents for that right now. But with the pandemic, and also about 2 years ago, I had a couple really close friends that were diagnosed with terminal cancer, and they'd been struggling with their faith. And I was in the shower where many good ideas seem to come to you.
I know.
It happens to me all the time. But I felt God was saying to me, Cindy, you need to get all these things that are in your computer out there, but that's taking a long time. So why don't you do videos? And that's where I got the idea. And it was actually April 11th, which is our daughter Ariel's birthday. But Remy's breeder posted something on Facebook, and Remy's mom, her name was Marty, French name for Tuesday. She passed away that day, April 11th. It was like 20, I think it was 18, 17. And I was so sad, and I got Remy and I said, oh, Remy, your mommy died, and I gave him a hug, and he didn't know. Yeah. But I was just so, touched by that. And it reminded me that he's not going to be around forever. Yeah. And so I thought, okay, I've got 2 events now, this telling me to do videos and, this, immediacy to get out there and do something. So that day we went on our first walk.
I was on that walk with you. I remember I was like, oh, I love that she's doing this.
Yeah. And that's the motivation behind doing the videos and getting them, getting those messages out to people. There's so many people that are hurting and that are lonely, especially after this pandemic, that they need something and they're searching for something. And so I thought this was a wonderful way to give them something to hang on to, in the last year where we've had so much change, the restrictions were lifted and they go back on again and restaurants are open and then they close again. And just our life has been shifting with what we're supposed to do.
Oh, yeah.
And, all the other political and, disagreements,
all of it.
Discord, everything.
It's a lot. I mean, people go to
shifting.
therapy for a lot less.
Yeah.
And this has been a lot thrown at us. And that's why the Bible says, feast your eyes on things that are lovely, things that are noble, and things that are pure. That's one translation, right? And so reading books like this that strengthen your faith, it says, devotions inspired by nature to strengthen your faith, the journey. It's like one of our first guests said, garbage in, garbage out. This is not garbage, this is good. Good in, good out, right? God in, good out. God in, God out.
Yeah.
So it's important to invest in things like this, just for your spirit and your soul.
Right.
Tell us, I love walking in nature. But, you know, I don't know if you've seen the video circulating about the bobcat and all.
Yeah.
Did you see
No.
that? Okay, well.
They're all over the place.
But there's an actual video, and hopefully we can insert
the bobcat
this.
attack?
The bobcat attack video.
Yeah.
This guy, and then I'm getting to this point. It was a big story, a big news story. He and his wife were taking their cat or something to the vet. So they had their cat in this crate, and they're in front of their house, and they're walking, and the cars are both parked in the driveway, and the wife goes in between the cars, and this bobcat literally attacks her.
Oh my
It
goodness.
jumps on her back.
Jumps on her
It was
back.
going after. I think it was going after the cat.
Yes.
Wow. Oh.
And the husband, God bless him, I love you, because I would certainly love to have someone like that. He really had her back.
Yes.
He rips the bobcat off of her back, and you have to see the video, but maybe we'll...
It's up there.
Play a little
always
bit.
assume that it's on there.
Okay. He ends up having to take a gun and kill this bobcat because
Well,
it had rabies.
First, he literally
So-
picked it off the back and was holding it up and throws it like, 10, 15 feet.
Yes.
And yeah, it was...
It was really something else. It was like amazing.
And where was this?
This was in front of their house in
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
So, me, I'm like, I'm not, I walk around my neighborhood and we have coyotes and we
Yes.
live out in the mountains. And so I guess my point is, I'm getting to this long, drawn out point. Did you have any moments on these walks that,
The guy's name is Happy Wade.
Happy Wade, we are giving you props today for really standing up and being a man of honor and taking one for the team and saving your wife. Because honestly, he really did. I mean, it was latched onto her and it was growling and hissing.
gosh.
And he held it and you can see it biting him. And
Yeah,
then
bit
he
him 3
threw
times
it.
in the hand as she was holding it. And they had to get rabies shots for 20, 30 days, yeah.
Oh,
That was a real thing. So,
So crazy.
I know you're out in nature.
Yes,
And it's
exactly.
always good to be careful and have your things to be, careful.
Right.
But did you have any moments that were like, there was like a gardener snake or...
Oh, yeah. Well, we live up in the foothills, and so we're up pretty high up in the mountains. And when we were walking, I don't like to go too early in the morning or too dusky at night because I don't, we do have mountain lions. There are always coyotes. There are 3 coyotes that just come up our hill and walk in our front. We have like a walkway that's gravel, and we have a fountain, and they just come walking up and get a drink. And Remy's in the house. He just like, he doesn't always see them out there, and this has only happened a couple times, but they are out there.
Yeah.
Saying, come with us, run wild,
Yeah.
be
And
part
then
of the
we
pack.
have
We like you.
this deer that's we've noticed, and we didn't know it was the same deer until recently. It has like a little, we've named it. It's called Notch. Because it has this notch on its left ear.
cute.
Looks like it's been,
Yeah.
torn or something and it's healed. But Notch is eating our roses, so our landscape guy's been putting deer deterrent, smelly stuff that they won't like
Yeah.
it. But he eats our roses and geraniums and all sorts of things. But he sits outside, and we come around the corner in the mornings, and there have been a couple mornings just in the last week that Notch has been sitting out there, and Remy will be out sniffing around, and he doesn't smell Notch. I see Notch. And I go around the corner and look for Notch. There he is.
So cute.
And then Remy will kind of come, and then he rears up, and the deer, the deer will even turn around, look us in the eye, and be like, "This is my spot.
Yeah,
What are you doing?"
I was here
here?"
first.
What are you
He
doing?
has, my husband thinks if I start feeding it, it would actually come and eat out of my
Probably,
hand.
yeah.
But I don't want to encourage that
Yeah.
because we don't
Yeah.
really want Notch around.
Yeah.
But so there have been some things like that. There have been some snakes that have been in the grass. I really am vigilant when Remy's out sniffing because different times of the year we want to be careful he's not going to sniff where a rattlesnake is. We have rattlesnakes up where we are. And there are other deer that he's seen, in the late afternoon. They'll be up in the hills and I won't see them. And he all of a sudden just is barking
Yeah.
and rearing up.
Oh, yeah,
and
they know.
Gotta really hold on to him or he'll be taken off. But we haven't had too many other crazy things.
Do you know an extraordinary child, a budding superstar who is ready to take on the world and who loves to have fun? If so, he or she deserves a chance to shine at a children's business fair, a one-day event where young people can launch and showcase a business. You'll be amazed by what children can accomplish, and it's a great way to bring neighbors together amid sunshine and laughter. At a children's business fair, children will make something with their own hands, sell it safely, and experience the freedom of having a little extra spending money as a reward. It takes less than 10 minutes to apply and as little as 3 hours to plan a fair. Just set up a few tables on a lawn and send a few emails to friends and family. You can host a fair for free, and we'll even chip in up to $500 of prize money. Sound too simple? Join parents who want to equip and inspire their children to shine in the real world. Start your audition to host a children's business fair in your community or find out more at podcast.childrensbusinessfair.org.
Yeah.
Well, switching gears just a little bit, tell me, have you always had a belief in God and your faith, or were you raised that way? Tell. Because it's people listen and some people don't believe in God, and sometimes it's difficult when you're going even for believers to believe, and they call it blind faith for a reason, right? Even though God shows us in all of nature and all things, and I've had him move mountains this past week, which I just can't. It's just from the power of prayer. And but tell our listeners,
sure,
how you.
Well, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, western suburbs of Chicago, and my mom and dad were both strong Christians. They went to church all the time. I had the honor, I guess you could call it, of being I grew up Lutheran. And so I was baptized. They just had built a new church, and I had been baptized, one of the first babies in that brand new church. Oh. And that was like my claim to fame, like all through high school.
You were the first baby to be baptized.
I was the first baby baptized in this church. But we always went to church. It was just what we did. We went on Sundays. I was in bell choir. I was in junior choir. I was in high school choir. I was a leader in our youth group and things. And then my pastors were involved in the college that I ended up going to. And my high school choir director was also the choir director at our church. And he was very instrumental in my life as well. So I went off to this Swedish Lutheran college called Augustana College in Rock Island, Illinois. There's another Augustana in South Dakota, but I went to the Illinois Augustana. And it was a wonderful school for me to go to. I was in a sorority, and many of the girls that were in the sorority were very Christian-based as well. So we had a Bible study in our sorority, and it was, a way for me to continue what I had grown up with. And I continued that through college. I was a Sunday school teacher in our college church, and professors' kids would come to my second grade class. I only had like 3 kids, but hey, I was, doing something. Yeah. And then we started moving around, and whenever I moved, I felt like there were 2 places I always would go to. I would go to the public library and get my library card, which sounds
so long ago. Oh,
but
I remember those days.
It was a way for me to like connect and find out about community events through the library, And then I would always try to find a new church. And so in our moves, I mentioned I grew up Lutheran, but my husband grew up Methodist. And so when we were first married, we lived in Ohio, and we went to a Methodist church. And then we went to Lutheran church, and then we came back. I taught 3rd grade at a Lutheran school in Cleveland.
How fun!
Right inside, I had taught high school French for 2 years, and then we got married, and I taught 3rd grade. So I got to use both of my degrees that way. And then when we came back to the Chicago area, we went to the Methodist church, and we stayed there for 20-some years. And my husband and I were both adult leaders. He was one of the lay leaders of the church. So we've I've been blessed to have had my faith all throughout my life.
To that point, quickly, because not quickly, we have time, but Bob asked me. Yeah, I just wanted to get your attention.
I heard my name, my ears perked up.
Yes, I know. He asked me in a previous episode if my faith was ever challenged, or if there was ever a time in my life that I didn't believe. And he asked me like 3 or 4 times, like in different ways, and there really wasn't. You were, but it actually, I left that day going, wow, I have not ever not believed in God. I've been frustrated. I've had a lot of conversations with him of, hey, why is this happening? And 99.9% is because he says, because of the choice that you made. and so I guess my question to you right now in this moment, I've never asked anybody else this before. Has there ever been a time in your life that you were challenged with your faith or believing, or did you just, my answer was to Bob, no, I just believe. I've always believed. I've never not believed. I still, even in those hard times, believed.
Right.
But it is challenging sometimes for people.
It is. And without a whole lifetime of faith as a foundation, I can see how hard it really is when you are facing really difficult times and challenging times. But I have never not believed. I've always believed. And I really, there have been many things that have happened in my life. One of my friends said, "Oh, you sound like you've just had a fairy tale life," and it hasn't been a fairy tale life. There have been a lot of things. I've had a couple miscarriages along the way. We've moved a lot. I've lost both of my parents now. So a lot of transition I've experienced in life, and I think what's gotten me through the transitions has been my faith, and in finding other believers that walk along with me when I have these different, different times in my life, different
challenges,
places in my life, different challenges and things. Yeah. But
iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
And
right.
that's why it's so important to it says to surround yourself with like-minded people. And doesn't mean that they have to necessarily believe exactly what you believe about everything, right? The whole point of this show is to bring people together and unite, not be divided. But it can be difficult sometimes, and I just wanted to know, and sometimes I had a pastor say sometime to me once at Malibu Presbyterian. His name was Greg Hughes. And Greg, if you're listening, thank you so much, because you sowed so many seeds into my life. But he said sometimes you just have to you just have to believe. You really just have to say, okay, I believe, and the feeling will follow. Because life happens, like you said, and it gets heavy, and things, for everyone has their own test, their own mess that becomes a message. And I've said this before, we all have a mug shot. Some of us, it's on the front of, and some it just happens.
And some
dot,
at the post
dot, dot.
office.
Some at the post office. But in my moments of being in the fetal position, it's like blind faith. You just have to trust and also pray. And so on these walks, I have a friend, Terry Copley, who was on the show, and she wrote a book called Conversations with God. Did you have a lot of conversations?
I had some conversations. One of the most meaningful times when I wrote this book was a couple years ago. It wasn't I guess it was. It just seems like such a long time ago. It was last January.
I know, right? This year is really, it seems like
really
5 years.
Yes. Our son goes to college in upstate New York at Hamilton College. And so I have been going out there. He plays basketball on the college team, and he has been on the team for a couple years now. And so I would go out to watch him play, and I would try to strategically plan it so that he'd have 2 home games in one weekend, followed by 2 home games the next weekend, and I would stay the week in between.
Such a mom, I love it.
Yeah. And my husband would come and join me too. But in between, I took a self-imposed writing retreat, which is another tip for people who really want to do this. You need to kind of sequester away sometimes just to get a good chunk of work done. So I would be in a little apartment or place that I rented in this quaint town called Clinton, New York. It's just beautiful. And I would sit there and write. So I wrote for a whole week last January, right before, March came with the pandemic. And that's when I really felt I was fine-tuning my Walks with Remi, and I really felt close to God during that time, and I felt his presence. There's, again, such a God thing. There was a church right across the street from where I was staying, and so there's that inspiration just walking across the street. And I actually went to church there on a Sunday after a game or before a game. And I met some of the people who go to that church, and they were fans of the college team, and they started coming to watch our son Eric play, and I would see them at the games the following weekend, and we're like waving at each other, and so they kind of got interested in what I was doing. And the cleaning lady who would come and clean for me every day, empty my baskets or things. She was curious, well, what are you writing? And so I would talk to her about this. And I had been there the year before.
Did she read all the thrown out pages?
No. Well,
She's got them somewhere.
I've got them hidden away. No, they're on my computer. I wasn't printing anything at the time, but she had shared with me the year before when I was there for another writing retreat for the Suitcase Adventures, that, she was sharing some difficulties that she was going through, and I was sharing that I had been writing this devotional. And so I mailed her some, I printed out a couple of them and I mailed them to her. And so then when I went last January, she was there again and she said, oh, I really enjoyed the messages that you sent me. And I said, well, this time I'm working on this book. And so just last week I sent her a copy of the book. Oh. So she has it now. But
the Suitcase Adventures, I actually think that sounds like a Netflix series.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I see that as being here's a really, really short, quick little to your point. I don't know her name. I'm terrible with names. Maybe Bob could look it up while I'm telling the story, but it's the writer of The Help, the movie The Help.
Oh, okay.
And I read this article on her, and I'm just kind of going to reiterate it, but it might not be verbatim. She had a love affair with this book, and she sequestered herself as well. And her friends would be like, where is Bob's getting the name?
Don't put the pressure on.
And
Catherine Stockett.
And her friends would be like, oh, she's having this affair with her in a hotel, right, writing this book. And she said that. I might not get it right, too. So, Catherine, if you're listening, feel free to come on the show and correct us. That she was like giving birth, and the doctor was like, you need to put the computer down because we're about to have a child now. And she was really immersed in this book.
Wow.
And the story goes, and I might have the number wrong, but she had sent the book to a publisher, and they declined it. Then she sent it to 5 more, and they declined it. 5 more, they declined it. She got up into like 51 or 61. I'm not sure exactly how many, but it was up there. And it was like her 51st publisher, and they said, oh, we like this story. We'd like to sign you. The book turns into the New York bestseller, turns into the #1 movie, won all the awards that year. It's called The Help.
And then every year she writes the other 50 publishers and go, you could have had.
Yeah, they're like, ooh, somebody got fired. But to your point, you're doing it and you're making it happen. And I've seen a lot of things on the internet of people get ideas all the time. And they kind of either become this vapor or they materialize. Sometimes quickly, like this show did, and sometimes 9 years later, or like in Forrest Gump's case, 10 years it circulated Hollywood, that screenplay, and it was finally made. But I love that you are, putting the hand to the plow, as you will, and God's really can do things overnight. I've seen him do it.
Do you put a hand to a
overnight.
plow? Is that how?
Yeah, the Bible says if you put your hand, is it a hand to a plow?
Shoulder to the grindstone.
Oh, I mean, well, maybe you didn't read
Nose
that
to the
page.
grindstone, shoulder to the...
I don't know, I'm just saying.
Nose to the wheel, shoulder to the grindstone.
No, that's old. That's before my time. No, I'm like, the Bible says if you go out and plow the fields, what's that scripture?
You're
Toil the
expert.
fields. It's toil.
It's
called toil.
And you sow your wild oats?
No.
Or you sow
I
your
don't think
Johnny
it
Apple
says
seeds?
that in the Bible,
Doesn't
but
it?
okay, Bob.
I think it says sow your seed somewhere. I'll do a word search.
No, it says if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you're kind of...
All right, I'm going to look that one up. I'm going to look up the Bible text, find it says sowing your seeds.
Seeds fall on different
yes,
soil.
Yes, they do. It does. I know. I'm just messing with you. I love, though, that you do have scripture and you have the story in here. This book is really, really great. I did a fast read of it on my Kindle, but I actually have a copy of it now.
You
a signed
do.
copy of it.
Yay.
Tell us a little bit about the Suitcase
Adventures.
Yes, because you are now you're writing the second book. Or
Well,
this is not the second book.
Right.
This is a whole other.
Her second book, not the second book.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Well, the Suitcase Adventures is not faith-based at all. It's just, again, when I was leaving Connecticut trying to figure out what's my purpose, I thought, well, writing, I could do writing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find a way to use my French expertise and knowledge to continue to share what I know with people and to, help people learn more appreciation about French culture and French language and especially kids. And so this book is for 9 to 11-year-olds. And I have this vision of it being a series.
Yeah, I see it.
And so the thing is that there's a tradition in this girl's family. Her name's Brianna Dubois.
Ooh.
And her mother is American and her dad is French. And her father passed away when she was 5. And Brianna just turned 11. And there's a tradition in the Dubois family that when they turn 11, there's this suitcase that comes to them in the mail from Mommy, her grandmother, or whoever the matriarch is in the family at the time. And inside the suitcase, there's a ticket for an adventure. And so Brianna has just found out that her birthday's coming up. She's waiting for the suitcase. And she discovers that she has a ticket to go to Paris to visit her French grandmother, Mamie. And she's worried about going because she's going by herself. Her mom and her brother are staying at home. And so when she arrives in Paris, she spends a little bit of time with Mamie, kind of getting to know her. She remembers her a little bit from her dad's funeral 6 years ago, but that's really all. They haven't had a lot of interaction since. And so Mamie disappears once she's there for a couple of days. And there's some clues as to, something wasn't quite right. But then the rest of the book is about how Brianna and these other kids that live in the hotel that Mamie owns help her find Mamie. And Mamie
This is like Chronicles of Narnia a little bit.
She knew,
I love
Is
it.
it a current day or?
It's current day.
Current
Oh,
day.
that's so
It's
good. Don't give it
current
all
day.
away because we want to this is so
okay,
good.
Who does the killing?
Oh, no. Don't even.
No, there is no killing. It's a kidnapping.
It's
but
so great.
fun.
I want to leave it so
Like
that
she was going to
doesn't
really tell it. You were worried, weren't you?
Yeah, well, you know.
I'm so honest.
No, me too. I just blah. And so,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I like this. This sounds good. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
It's finished.
It's finished. Yeah. I'm on my fourth revision. And I just worked with a book coach out of North Carolina. Rachel Olson is her name. She's wonderful.
What is a book coach?
A book coach is a new thing. Now that so many people are not going the traditional publishing route and self-publishing or hybrid publishing is a new thing too. But they help you. They're almost like your own editor, and they give you insights and how they think you could improve the book's chances of getting an agent or an editor, or being snatched up by a publishing company before you get to that stage. So I've had her look at it. I was in a writing group for 6 years here in Westlake before we moved up north. And SCBWI is a wonderful organization for children's book writers. And that's
CBWI.
SCBWI, Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators.
Okay.
So,
Wow,
they
that's
have
wonderful.
national conventions in LA. They're based out of LA, but they're international, and it's great. It's wonderful.
The Suitcase Adventures Netflix. If you're listening, you need to contact Cindy Anderson because I really do feel I'm confirming that.
You should be
For
her
you.
agent.
It's fun.
Go get her a deal.
I just want God as our agent.
When you say children's book, you mean up to age 18 or up to age 10? What's the children's book?
Up to probably 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. This would be a middle grade is what they call it. And then after middle grade, there's YA, young adult. And so this is a middle grade.
Do they have a
convention.
ratings for books? A rating system?
Bob, that's actually a really
know.
good question.
You say like I've never had a good one before.
I'm just confirming that one was good.
That
That is a good
amongst your many other ones, was a very good question.
We'll write that down as on
So
the
they don't
list.
have they don't have a rating system for books?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works.
There has
I
to
don't
be
know.
some sort of thing.
They don't
you
do
know,
like PG or,
Right.
Yeah.
they don't do
No,
it
because
that
I remember
way,
when I was like middle school, I forget the name of the book, but it was the first book about,
Yeah.
people becoming no longer kids, becoming men and women. And my mother, who was very religious, said, "You're not reading that book." And everybody in school had it. I'm like, how do you know? I guess she heard about the book,
Yeah.
but there was no rating on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not sure.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. Well, I just can't even believe you're sitting across from me. You just never know what life's going to bring you, years later. Like this is just, it's amazing to me that how good God is. And like I say, he has this big tapestry and he just works all things together for his glory. right?
Right.
And so I can't thank you enough for coming today. So we have a couple questions to end with. Describe yourself, or should we have you just...
Pick 3 words that describe yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm just, yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
5,
3 words
4,
that describe
3,
you.
2,
Oh,
1.
hold on. 5, 4. You done laughing? 3, 2, 1.
Pick 3 words to describe. Well, no, let's start over.
This is all staying in.
I know.
I'm not cutting any of this out.
It's fine. I know. We ask the same questions over and over. And Bob, now I'm going to get nervous laughter, and I can't get it out if I get nervous laughter, because then I won't stop.
Okay, just don't think about laughing. Don't think about anything funny. Don't think about running water.
Randomly, Cindy. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Ooh, 3 words. Gosh.
You said it wrong again.
I did.
3 words that describe you.
I'm sorry. Cindy Anderson, my dear friend, what are 3 words that would describe yourself?
Except you use yourself, and it should be you. It's okay.
That describe you. I know, I'm speaking to a writer. Okay.
It's okay.
Oh, you screwed up the reflexive pronoun.
I know, right?
All right. Let's see. Creative. Optimistic. And empathetic.
Those are
3 very good
3
words.
very good ones. Yes, that's beautiful. And I think those are 3 really necessary ones when you are creating characters and writing, right? To be able to understand. I've done a little writing myself, and it's important you have those 3 qualities. Okay, I know you're happily married. I know your husband, so and your family. But we do ask this. It's kind of a silly question, but we've had some fun with it, haven't we? And it doesn't have to be somebody that you have a crush on, but who is your celebrity crush? And it could be anyone.
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I've ever really had a celebrity crush. When I was younger, I used to read Tiger Beat magazine. I don't know if you read Tiger Beat magazine.
That.
Bobby Sherman. I don't know if you remember Bobby Sherman.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he was up, they had like a
Yes.
fold out of Bobby Sherman, just his face, but he was up on the
Bob's writing
on
it
the
down.
wall.
He's going to put a picture of Bobby Sherman on here.
He was really, I liked him a lot. He just a kind of a
Yeah.
nice guy.
Nice guy, yeah.
Kind of guy. I suppose now I enjoy Brad Pitt movies.
Yeah.
They have a film festival up in Santa Barbara, and I was able to go last year in January, and he was there.
Oh,
and
wow.
so fun. Lupita Nyong'o was there, and a bunch of other people were there.
That must have been kind of fun.
It's an exciting.
Did he do a
exciting
Q&A?
time.
Was he interactive?
He did.
Oh, that's so great. They're
Yeah,
doing a lot of
they
that
did
now.
a lot of interviewing him at the. It was all about him. It was about his whole career, and they showed film clips from his whole career. It was really great.
Wow,
I
that
was
is
way
cool.
up in the back, the back of the theater, but I got to walk by him outside and was able to take some pictures. But that was fun.
Who would have thought that he would be who he is today from Thelma and Louise?
Yes. Right.
Remember that movie?
Yeah.
I mean, he had a small role, but that was an impactful role in Hollywood, and he took off. Cindy Anderson, I can't thank you enough for coming by today.
Thank you.
Your book, My Walks with Remi, is on mywalkswithremi.com. You also have on
And
Facebook
Amazon.
and
On
Amazon.
Amazon.
You can get it on Amazon. I
Yeah.
highly recommend. It's devotions inspired by nature to strengthen your faith journey, and it's a devotional with lots of great golden nuggets in it. Very encouraging and inspiring, and you are amazing. And I have one thing to say to you. Mon cœur est toujours avec toi.
Oh, merci beaucoup. Et moi aussi.
Yes. I do. It is. My heart is always with you, and I love you, and thank you.
Thank you.
For
I
staying
was going to
connected.
try the one. What do they sing? Eyes Without a Face, the Billy Idol song. The background singers are singing Eyes Without a Face in French.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Because you listen to it and you're
I
like,
have to
I don't
listen-
understand.
I
Yeah.
have to listen
They're-
for that.
Yeah, we know the song, right? Eyes
No,
Without
I
a
don't
Okay,
think
it's this
I probably
one
do. I don't
slow
know the
song.
name of it.
Eyes Without a Face,
Mm-hmm.
Billy Idol. And the female singers are singing Eyes Without a Face and slow.
Oh, fun.
If you listen to The Clash, Should I Stay or Should I Go?
Oh, yeah.
The backgrounds are in Spanish. Whatever they say,
Really?
they say it in Spanish, yeah, which is why nobody understood what they were saying.
Oh, wow.
I did not know that.
That's great.
Huh.
How fun.
Well, it is. My heart is with you. I wish you nothing but the best and
Thanks,
success.
Cory.
And I can't wait to read the Suitcase Adventures.
Yeah,
Or
thank
see
you.
it.
When do we think it will come out?
I have no idea. Probably, hopefully in the next year if I do it myself. If a publisher picks it up, it'll be
Quicker,
a couple years. No,
Now-
it'll be like 2
Oh.
years. It's slower when a
If you do
publisher
it
does
yourself, do you actually print the hardback copies and give them to Amazon, or just straight to
Yeah,
Amazon?
you can do through Amazon. You can do. There is a version of it for hardback.
Okay.
Paperback.
Yeah, I heard
hardback.
that Amazon will print single copies when people buy them.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't have to print
They
like
print
500.
on demand. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I
so
think
great.
Yeah.
I know, really?
Yeah.
Well,
And my Walks with Remi will be, there's an ebook, and then it's the hard or the paperback, and then there's also an audiobook
I mean,
coming
Yes.
is
out.
it, okay.
Yeah.
So it's on Audible.
you can click
Not
on
yet.
Amazon. It
Yeah.
has three. It has three.
Is it out
yeah,
now?
it's on.
The
it
audiobook
I
is
believe
on?
it is. Yeah, because
Oh.
I just looked on there. And
I
it
hadn't
said-
seen the audiobook yet.
It said
Okay.
audio on
Great.
it. So
Must have just coming out.
I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe not. I don't. Maybe I just saw it, but there were three different
Okay,
ways
great.
for me to get it. And I
Yeah.
got the Kindle.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but-
one thing else I just want to
please.
mention is that all the proceeds of the book are going to God Cares School
That's
in,
right.
in
I wanted
Uganda.
to talk about that.
Yes, and the American Humane Society, just
Yes.
to help protect our pets and
Yes.
animals in the world, God's creatures.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Cindy J. Anderson, I have a feeling that is you are
Thanks.
headed down your purpose of
Thank
being
you.
a big time writer.
Well, I really appreciate this opportunity to be with you two today, Cory and Bob.
Right, thank you.
And thank you for helping me get the word out. It's so
Yeah.
difficult being a new author, and just the exposure is wonderful. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for
Thank
that.
you. I love you.
Love you too.
And we're out.
Are you ready to hear children laughing and playing outside again? Childrensbusinessfair.org is too. That's why they need your help to launch a children's business fair in your neighborhood. It's easier than you think. If you or your children will invite some friends and provide a safe place to showcase 5 or more booths, they'll provide the rest and up to $500 in prize money. It's a gift and celebration of the curiosity and drive of young entrepreneurs all around the world. Start your audition to host a fair in your community or find out more at podcast.childrensbusinessfair.org.
Hi guys, I'm Cory Oliver, and thank you for watching The Coriolis Effect. We hope you enjoyed the previous episode. Here are some more episodes you might enjoy. Hit the subscribe button below, and have a great day.